fraud. I believe there's a change in circumstances that merits a request to get an Alimouri bail. And the prosecutor indicated he feels there isn't. The judge said we'll deal with that issue on the next court date.
What can we expect? I know you can't give us full details regarding the case, but what can we expect? This is your first time essentially representing an Alimouri in court.
So I will be fighting the case at every turn with my co-counsel, Ms. Smith, and we will be filing all the appropriate motions and appeals as well. Prior to my representation of Mr. Alimouri, there were no writs filed or appeals, and we intend on doing that if our motions at the trial court level are denied. So, long story short, we'll be putting up a fight.
And I know that you've been very vocal about this case.
Yes.
What made you want to represent, seeing as you have been involved and you've been here from the beginning and you
Right.
kind of know the whole history of what's going on?
Represent Alex, or to be part of the case as a whole?
To be part of the case.
Well, I saw it as an injustice, the fact that the government is charging these folks with very, very serious crimes when in all reality they were engaged in just regular old-fashioned protests in the name of street vendors and undocumented folks. So I see that as an injustice. It's disturbing to me personally, so I decided to take it on. And Mr. Alimouri decided to hire me as a result of, I imagine, what he saw in court.
Mr. Alimouri, previously the DA has offered. Do you want me to take my mask off, or
No?
Okay. The DA offered Alex a deal of 5 years and 2 strikes, and is that acceptable at all?
Clearly not. He didn't take the deal. He's the only defendant of the 7 who did not take his deal, precisely because it's not acceptable to him. And it's certainly not acceptable to me.
What can happen? 5 years in jail, right? What can happen? During 5 years in jail and in 2 years,
right?
2 strikes.
It would be devastating. That's a no-brainer. It would be devastating, and he's not taking that deal. And he hasn't taken that deal. And that's not something that I intend for him to do.
How do you think this case could affect our right to protest? Because as it stands now, the prosecutors mentioned, Alex and the street vendor advocates, they protest at people's homes. But that's a tactic that other protesters, for example, the peace movement, they often go to officials' homes. How do you think that? Do you think this can have an effect on this? Can make a precedent?
I think it's part of a broader trend on the part of the law to criminalize First Amendment activity. So, insofar as this is one of the many examples across the country, it could have a debilitating effect on our right to protest in the future and to organize and associate with like-minded folks. So that's why I'm concerned about this case in particular.
Okay, and you said you're actually going to live in Victorville.
Well, should this case go to trial, I imagine it will take, a month? A month. We'll be in court from 9 to 4:30 every day for that month period. I live in LA County, so I'll be a resident of Victorville with my co-counsel for the month that this trial will take, assuming the case goes to trial. If the prosecution doesn't want to budge, then that's where we'll go.
Okay. And you're right now we're trying to get Alex out on bail, correct?
That's what I'm intending to do on the next court date in about 2 weeks.
Okay, July 12th, 1:30.
Yes,
correct?
ma'am.
Okay, and Ms. Smith, does she? Is she in your law firm, or is she?
No, we're partnering on this case.
Okay.
We have a few cases together.
Okay.
She's very, very smart. She's going to be helping me out with the writs and motions. I think you've been able to tell that I'm a talker, so that's my expertise, if you will. And she's also a talker, but she's also a very, very smart attorney, and she's very well versed at writing appeals and writs and things of that nature.
Okay, so you're ready to, like you said, you're ready to do anything, right? You're ready to use any method to.
Within the bounds of the law, yes.
Okay, all right. I totally meant that legally.
Of course you did.
Okay, all right. Okay, all right. Thank you.
All right.
Last question. I understand if you can't give details regarding his status. Is that affected at all, regardless of what happens, whether he wins the case or if he does end up having to serve time? For example,
All I can say is that with the deal as it stands now, he would certainly face negative immigration consequences. What, a not guilty verdict or dismissal on all counts will ultimately do for his immigration status is something that an immigration attorney would be able to answer thoroughly. And of course, I'll be dealing with one. I already have one on board who's helping with the case.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
we'll be dealing with that down the line. All right.
Yeah, my editor, he did a story. He did a whole story on a mom. I think she was from Central America, and she was just facing a misdemeanor for drugs, and she was facing deportation, and him and another reporter kept covering the case, and he just noticed, he was just very awestruck, because he's an immigrant too. He's just really awestruck in how the justice system is different for non-citizens, well, permanent residents or people who aren't even permanent residents, and citizens.
Right, of course, 100%. The disparity is obviously very disturbing, and it's unjust.
Okay, and I'll probably ask you more questions about that. He's going to want to know, and
Okay.
I'll give you my editor's information too.
Okay,
All
we'll
right.
talk more about that
Okay,
if you
thanks.
like.
All
All right.
Okay, thank
All
you.
good?
Thank
okay.
you.
Thanks.